There are huge changes coming to Formula One in 2026 with a brand new engine and technical regulations. With increased electrical input and 100% sustainable fuels, Formula One is trying to lead the world in revolutionising how engines will work in the future. To match that, the cars will have a brand new look, designed to help them recharge their batteries so they can constantly push flat out. But they aren't the only changes coming. The FIA confirmed this week a huge number of changes to how the sport will be run in the future, and today I'll check them out, so don't go anywhere. The Formula One Commission met for the third time in 2024 on Tuesday. Comprising representatives from the FIA, F1 and all the teams, the F1 Commission meetings are a chance for the sport to discuss the future of F1 and what they think needs changing to make Formula One better. There were a number of things up for discussion at this week's meeting, and the first was the introduction of points for cars finishing lower than 10th. There had been discussions in the paddock earlier this year about giving out points to more cars. One of the arguments for it was how difficult it can be for the lower-ranked teams to score points. At the moment, the chance of the bottom 5 teams picking up points is very low, and a lot of the time it relies on DNFs or a particularly bad performance from a driver at a top team. The increased competitiveness of the field and lower attrition rates had created a feeling that it was both harder than ever to get into the top 10, and that strong performances outside it were going unrewarded. At 3 Grand Prix this year, all 20 cars have finished. The root of this argument is that points at the moment are more a prize than a measure of performance, as the good performances of weaker teams go completely unrewarded. Sky commentator Martin Brundle has been one of the most outspoken on the matter, saying, "Formula One World Championship points must be hard-won and treasured, valued, not some kind of lucky dip where everyone wins a prize." However, many fans have pointed to IndyCar in response, highlighting that the American series rewards points to every car, and that often creates a tighter and more exciting championship. For Formula One, though, the most likely scenario for a change would have been points being extended down to 12th place, with a distribution from 8th downwards altered. But the stakeholders have agreed that, for now, there's not a sufficient case for changing the format, with a unanimous agreement between the Commission on the matter. While the point system will be staying the same, testing in Formula One is going to be completely overhauled. This is being done in 2 parts, and the first is that the pre-season testing is being completely changed for 2026. In recent seasons, pre-season testing has consisted of just 3 days before the first official race weekend of the campaign. However, new aerodynamic and power unit regulations will come into play in just over a year's time, in one of the biggest rule changes in recent history. As a result, the FIA has confirmed that the 2026 pre-season test schedule will involve 3 three-day tests in recognition of the challenges presented by the new power unit regulations. The location of the tests has not yet been confirmed. However, F1 has solely tested in Bahrain ahead of the last 2 seasons, with Barcelona also hosting a test in 2022 when the last major regulation change came into play. The 9 days will be split into 3 three-day sessions, with a gap in between each to give the teams a chance to take their learnings away and adapt and improve the cars as necessary. In recent years, pre-season testing has been steadily reduced, going from a pair of 4-day sessions to a pair of 3-day sessions, before being cut right back to a single 3-day test over the last 2 years. The 9 days of winter running in 2026 will be the most the teams have had since 2015, when the same 3 tests of 3 days each format was used. It's still not as much as teams had when the last major engine rules changed in 2014, as that winter there were 3 4-day tests, and even with 12 days of winter running, reliability was a substantial challenge for manufacturers in the early races as the hybrids made their debut. That same lack of reliability is unlikely to be the case this time though, as overall, the reliability of the sport has massively improved in the last decade. In addition to the extra days of testing, the teams will be allowed to run mule cars for testing. The addition to the regulations allows for 10 days of mule car testing this year for teams to try and simulate the 2026 cars. In F1, a mule car is the term for a chassis that has been adapted to complete test running. The car is usually updated in order to mimic the upcoming regulation changes, and therefore can differ quite drastically from the original car specification. Rules are relaxed for the mule cars, allowing teams to update their machinery in a variety of ways in order to greater replicate the demands of any upcoming regulation tweaks. Ahead of the 2017 technical regulation changes, teams extensively tested with mule cars, which were able to run with various aerodynamic devices to generate greater downforce, allowing for data to be gathered ahead of time. While these cars are not perfect replicas of what the 2026 cars will be like, and therefore won't provide perfect data, they will allow teams to test the new aerodynamic parts that are being included in the 2026 technical regulations. Specifically, teams will be keen to test the complex active aerodynamic parts that are part of the 2026 regulations. However, with the current chassis being far larger than those planned for 2026 and the engines being completely different, how much actual development work can be done in advance of the new regulations is debatable. Just before I cover the planned rookie race for this season, if you enjoy the daily F1 news updates we provide and want to see more, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Right, let's talk about what the F1 Commission had to say about the much-anticipated rookie race, which is an exciting addition to the postseason test. Sadly, the Commission has delayed a plan to host an end-of-season race for aspiring drivers until at least 2025. A statement from the FIA said, "While the concept received widespread support, it was determined that, due to timing and organizational constraints, the event would not take place in 2024, and discussions would continue to formulate a potential concept and plan for 2025. The idea, dubbed the Rookie Race, was to host a sprint-type event at the postseason test in Abu Dhabi to give young drivers a better opportunity to demonstrate their qualifications to race in Formula 1. There have been concerns over recent seasons that making it to F1 is becoming harder and harder for rookie drivers. Part of the problem has been the gulf in performance and driving style between F2 and F1 cars. Also, with the increased competitiveness in F1 at the moment, teams are becoming less willing to take a chance on a rookie driver due to the uncertainty over whether or not they'll perform. Though 2025 will see a number of rookies on the grid, the difficulty in identifying quality in F2 can be highlighted by the performances of some of the F2 drivers who have had a chance in F1 this season. Ollie Behrman, for example, who has scored points for both Haas and Ferrari this season, currently sits 15th in the F2 standings. According to Christian Horner, Franco Colapinto was on nobody's radar prior to his appearances for Williams, but now many are demanding he be given the empty seat at Sauber in 2025, such as being the quality he's shown. Teams, governing body, the FIA and commercial rights holder Liberty Media agreed that there was a feeling that the plan was being rushed. Among the concerns was the load imposed on team members, who will already have done the longest season in history and would be forced to stay out in Abu Dhabi after the final race for this new event. There are also implications on freight and other logistics, as well as how the event would be televised and ensuring it was appealing for any audience. Worryingly, there was no guarantee that the event will take place in 2025, but the intention is that it will. Among other subjects discussed at the F1 Commission, it was agreed to revise the 2026 regulations, which feature major changes to both chassis and engines, to increase the car's expected aerodynamic performance. This comes after teams expressed concerns that the 2026 cars would be too slow, and follows collaboration work between the FIA and the teams. Nothing specific was released, but the governing body said, "Following further discussions during upcoming technical and sporting advisory committees, an update on the 2026 regulations relating to sporting and technical regulations will be presented at the World Motorsport Council on October 17th. An extraordinary F1 Commission meeting will take place on October 2nd to discuss 2026 matters." The technical regulations for 2026 have to be finalized before the 1st of January 2025. Any changes which are agreed on at the 2nd of October meeting are likely to be the final changes to the new technical regulations. Now it's your turn. What do you think of all the changes, or no changes in regards to the point system? Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and if you want to help support the channel as much as possible, then check out our new merch store. It's linked in the description down below.